Hello everyone and welcome to this video in which we are going to be looking at the questions and the solutions of a RC passage of an RC exercise from CAT 2023 slot 3. In a previous video, I had discussed how to read the passage, what information is supposed to be taken away from the passage after finishing reading it for the first time. We look at the questions and the solutions for that passage. But of course, as I say before, every single one of my videos in this series, please try to solve the exercise once yourself before you look at this video. All right. Right. So this was a very easy passage. This passage was the passage on the nutmeg curse written by Ghosh, and it was a very simple passage to read, not at all complicated, and the questions actually follow suit. So let's start with question number one. One says, on the basis of information in the passage, which one of the following is not a reason for the failure of policies seeking to address climate change? So why have we not been able to come up with good policies to address climate change? We have to pick up an option which is not given in the passage as a reason for it. Very easy question. Option A says greed of organizations benefiting from non-renewable energy resources. We only need to know that non-renewable energy resources means they are talking about oil and coal, which is being talked about in the last paragraph, that because of their vested interests and their lobbying, people are continuing to be able to exploit Earth and we are not being able to come up with policy. So A is given in the last paragraph of the passage very clearly. So A is not the answer. B says a marginalized status of non-European ways of looking at nature and the environment, which is very, very big point that Ghosh makes in his books, that we non-European countries often refer to Earth as a living being, but then European countries often treat it like an inert object, which is there for exploitation. And that is a very, very big reason for the behind why we treat Earth like a commodity and we exploit it. And that gives us the ability to not pass policies to protect Earth. So B is also given in the passage. C says decentralized characteristic of renewable energy sources like solar power. Never mentioned in the passage. Most likely C is the answer, but let's read D as well. The global dominance of oil economies and the international politics built around it. Again, almost same as option A. D is given in the last paragraph. So of course, C is the answer. C is the only thing not given in the passage about the decentralized characteristics of renewable energy resources. Never mentioned in the passage. So very simple question. A, B, D directly given in the passage. Question 2 says, which one of the following best explains the primary purpose of the discussion of the colonizations of the Banda Islands in the Nutmeg Curse? If you go back to the passage, the Banda Islands is being mentioned here, that he starts the book with a 1621 massacre by Dutch invaders determined to impose a monopoly on nutmeg cultivation and trade in the Banda Islands in today's Indonesia. Using this, what is he saying? He's telling us that not only do the Dutch systematically depopulate the islands through genocide, they also try their best to bring nutmeg cultivation into plantation mode. These are the 2 points which Ghosh returns through examples around the world. So he's saying that by doing this, by causing a genocide and by forcing people to cultivate things which are not indigenously cultivated there, that's how the climate crisis actually began, right? And because of colonists or colonialists doing things like this is why a climate crisis began in the first place, not along with the Industrial Revolution. It began much earlier. So that's why the Banda Islands is being mentioned. So let's look at the option. Option A says to illustrate how systemic violence against the colonized constituted the cornerstone of colonialism. Till this point, so to illustrate systemic violence against the colonized has been given in the passage, constituted the cornerstone of colonialism. This passage is not about colonialism and what all things the colonialists did in the countries that they colonized. That is not what the passage is about. The passage is about the beginning of the climate crisis, and because that is not mentioned in option A, so A does not bring about the primary purpose of why this passage as a whole and this particular incident has been written about. That's why A we can easily eliminate as a wrong answer. B says to illustrate the first instance in history when the processes responsible for climate change were initiated. Maybe because he starts a book with this particular incident. So B might be the answer. So let's go down to B. C says to illustrate the role played by the cultivation of certain crops in the plantation mode in contributing to climate change. So C also is very narrow. Yes, he's talking about nutmeg being grown in a country where it was never grown before. That has contributed to the climate crisis for sure. But cultivation of certain crops in plantation mode, is this the reason for the climate crisis? No, it is a colonial mindset. That is the reason behind the climate crisis, is what Ghosh is trying to point out in the book. And that's why C is also not the correct answer. It is not growing crops in a plantation mode. Not at all. D says to illustrate how colonialism represented and perpetuated the mindset that has led to climate change. This is A very, very major point that the author has tried to make throughout his book. So D also can be the answer. So which among B and D will be the correct answer? If we go back to the passage, we can realize clearly that B is not the correct answer because, see, Ghosh takes his history at least 3 centuries back to the start of European colonialism in the 15th century. So he's saying that this entire process of climate crisis being perpetuated by the colonialists began in the 15th century. But he starts the book with an incident in 1621. 1621 is in the 17th century. So he's not starting the book with the very first incident. He's saying that he's giving this as an example of how colonialism has contributed towards the climate crisis. But definitely, this is not the very first incident that he wants to refer to because clearly he's saying that such incidents have been happening since the 15th century, since the 1400s. So that's why B is misrepresenting the fact, not the first instance in history, but it's a first instance in Ghosh's book, which has been mentioned. And that is why B is not the correct answer. D absolutely is the point that Ghosh is trying to make throughout the book, and that's why D is the answer for question number 2. Both these questions I will definitely deem as being easy questions. Let's move on to question number 3. 3 says all of the following can be inferred from the reviewer's discussion of the nutmeg's curse except. So which one has not or cannot be inferred from the discussion of nutmeg's curse? Let's look at A. A says academic discourses have always served the function of raising awareness about environmental preservation. Academic discourses. Somewhere maybe it was mentioned, but the biggest problem word in option A is the word always. I often tell in my class or say in my class that when you find absolute words like always, none, never, only, every, those options should immediately raise a red flag because good authors will tend to refrain from making such absolute opinions against most topics of discussion. So the presence of this word always, academic discourses have always served the function of raising awareness. I don't think that Ghosh has ever intended to say this in the book, neither has the author pointed this out in the passage. So A looks like very much the correct answer, but let's to confirm. Read option B, C, and D as well. B says environmental preservation policy makers can learn a lot from non-European and or pre-colonial societies. Absolutely given inside the passage. Right? Big point that Ghosh makes in his book. C says a contemporary dominant perception of nature and environment was put in place by process of colonialism. Absolutely, Ghosh is blaming the beginning of climate crisis squarely on the practice of colonialism. So C is given in the book. D says the history of climate change is deeply intertwined with the history of colonialism. Again, the same thing as C, so D is also given inside the passage. So only thing that you should not be able to infer is A. Very easy question. Once again, question number 3. 4 says which one of the following, if true, would make the reviewer's choice of the pronoun who for Gaia inappropriate. So when he uses who instead of which is for an object, who is for a person. That's what the author is saying throughout. Ghosh is saying throughout that we need to treat nature as a person like the non-European civilizations before the colonial periods used to do. And that is why he is referring to Gaia, who is Mother Earth, with a who. Now, this question can be a bit difficult to understand if we cannot exactly understand what Gaia is. But the pronoun who is used for persons and people and for living things. If we understand this much, we should be able to attempt the question. So looking at the options, I would say A is modern Western science discovers new evidence for the earth being an inanimate object. So that is what Western world is doing. Western world is European world. It is continuously treating earth as an inert object. And we know, we don't have to have scientific evidence to know that it is an inanimate object. We know it's an object, but the author is wanting us to treat it like a person. So despite A being true, Ghosh is still referring to earth or nature with a who. So if A is true, well, A is true. And despite that, the reviewer is actually using the pronoun who to refer to Gaia. That's why A is absolutely not the correct answer. If A is true, it would not make the reviewer question his choice of using the pronoun who. B says, Ghosh's book has a different title, The Nutmeg's Revenge. See, instead of curse, if you put revenge, even revenge is not taken by inanimate objects. Of course, the passage says that usage of the word curse tells us that someone has cursed humanity. So a person or a living thing can are the ones who can actually perform a curse. So that's why Ghosh is actually treating Earth like a person. That's why the author is probably using the pronoun who for nature. But even revenge is something that only living things can actually perform. So even if it were Nutmeg's revenge, he would still use the pronoun who, because revenge is again a person attribute and not an object attribute. C says non-European societies have perceived the earth as a non-living source of all resources. See, the entire perception of earth as a living thing has come from non-European civilizations before colonial times is what is mentioned in the passage. So C is opposite of whatever the passage mentions. So if C is true, maybe then that might deter the reviewer from using the pronoun who. So C, because it's not true according to the passage, C might be the correct answer. Let's read D. There's a direct cause effect relationship between human activities and global climate change. This again has been mentioned in the passage. This is already true. And despite this being true, the author uses the pronoun who. So A, B, and D are already true. And despite them being true, who is being used? The only thing which is not true according to the passage is C, or opposite of whatever is given in the passage is C, and that's why C will be the correct answer. So like that, we can reason out even for question number 4 what the answer is. Even though 4 is a critical reasoning question, I will still feel that it's an easy question. I believe anyone who has prepared seriously for the CAT paper should get a 4 out of 4. And you don't even have to be an expert in VRC to get a 4 out of 4 correct in this particular passage. I think even slightly above average students can actually easily get a 4 out of 4. 3 out of 4 bare minimum you should be getting if you're taking this paper seriously. Anything less than 3 out of 4 accuracy, you need a lot more practice and a lot more care when you are deciding what is the correct answer. It's generally lapse of concentration that would lead to a lesser accuracy than 3 out of 4 in a passage like this. And if you get anything less than 3 out of 4, be assured that you are going to be left behind by majority of the competition and your percentile is going to dip like crazy, right? So this is how some of the easiest passages in the CAT paper as far as reading comprehension is concerned will look like. I would say that I have not seen an easy reading comprehension exercise than this in the last 5 years that I have taken the CAT paper at least. All right, guys. Thank you.